Hello and welcome to episode 22 of the Roma Revolution. I'm Ben, and coming up on today's episode we start our second season in the Champions League with a home game against Bayer Leverkusen, and that will be followed by the sole derby against Napoli. But since you were last with me, the transfer window has shut and there has been some more signings. We have bought Victor Fischer from FC Copenhagen, a 27-year-old Danish winger stroke striker. He's come in for a grand total of 13.25 million. He'll provide a bit of backup to Esposito up front, whilst also maybe providing us with some really good, strong potential on that left-hand side. Todibo is also back, ladies and gents. We needed another centre-back. He is in on loan again from Barcelona. That's 3 now we've got from Barca, doing a bit of a raid on them. He was great for us last year, and fingers crossed he can be great alongside Mancini again this year. Emre Moore also came in on deadline day on the right hand side. You'll see in a second why he's come in. It was a bit of a panic buy, but a very pacey right winger who will provide some good backup to Zaniolo, a Turkish international. And we also bought loaned in Axel Tuanzebe from Man United. However, I made a mistake. You won't be seeing him play for Roma at all. Obviously, in game and in real life, England has now left the EU. He is classed, therefore, as a non-EU player, and our EU restrictions were already in place. We'd also already reached the amount of non-EU players we were allowed. We couldn't register him, so he is just going to sit in the team. There's no option to terminate the loan, as you can see. He would have been a really good, handy option to have about, but unfortunately it is not going to be for this year. But to offset some of the signings, Edin Dzeko has gone. Obviously, he was getting old, 35. He's gone for a grand total of £875,000 to Akhmat. Ibanez at the back, he's gone for 7.5 million to Schalke. Again, a player who wasn't potentially quite making it. He's been knocking around the place for a couple of years now without playing, so he moved on to pastures new. Cengiz Ünder was part of a deadline day surge of activity. I had a right winger lined up to replace him, who unfortunately didn't sign for us and signed elsewhere, hence why Emre Moore came in as a bit of a late panic buy. It's a shame to lose Ünder. He only went for 7 million, which at the time seemed like a really good price with the other man that I had coming in. But he has moved on. He's probably one that I regret moving on, but he has left. And Daniel Fazzato, the young goalie who we saw way back at the start of the series, he's not played at all. He has gone to Torino. So the squad is now looking a bit more full, a bit healthier, maybe a bit more younger talent in there. A couple of big names lost, but hopefully this squad can see us through to a really good season this year. However, the start has not been great. We've played one game in between this episode and the last. We lost to AC Milan 1-0 in a game where we didn't play at all well enough. Some of the new signings featuring in that one are not looking good at all. So we really need to bounce back to form against Bayer Leverkusen today. And this is the team we'll be looking to do that with. It's Paolo Lopez in goal, a back four of Miranda, Mancini, Todibo and Florenzi. Tonali and Cristante this time pair up in midfield with Malejo, Almada and Zaniolo in behind Esposito up front. Obviously, we have got a slightly tough group in this Champions League. The games against Leverkusen and Galatasaray, we really need to be winning to get a chance of going through. So this home tie against them is a really big game, and fingers crossed we can get one over on them. Let's give the fans something to cheer for. As always, we have faith in the boys, and let's get stuck into our second Champions League campaign of the series. Can we go a little bit further than we did last year? Obviously getting knocked out by Real Madrid in the first knockout round. We need to get past some tricky teams in the group to be able to do so, but I have every faith in us, and it looks like Almada is surging through for our first chance of the game. A great save by Hiradeki in the Bayer Leverkusen goal, but a great early chance from Almada in his first Champions League game, and he's put the corner in towards Esposito. He's beaten to it, but Tonali gathers on the edge, and it's back to Almada from Zaniolo to Mancini. Back to Almada, who's having a lot of the ball in these early stages. He finds a great ball to Tonali. Can he put a cross in? He can't. It's another corner, but Almada looked like he's going to be pulling the strings in this game. game, and hopefully he can pull them sufficiently for us to get a result. He gets a great corner into the front post. Zaniolo heads over, and a positive start for Roma. A couple of chances early on. Almada looking really bright. And hopefully in his first Champions League start, he can really surge us forward to victory. Mancini now with a deep free kick. Malejo under pressure, but he's done well to find Almada, who puts a great ball out to Miranda. Malejo surging forward for his first start of the season. To Zaniolo, to Cristante. Brian Cristante has put Roma 1-0 up. He's in today for Pellegrini, who's not quite been performing at the start of this season. And he is making a case to start a few games going forward. Zaniolo heads down. Cristante hits first time. It ripples the back of the net. And we go 1-0 up after 20 or so minutes in the Champions League. And Almada now with a free kick. And a chance to make it 2. It's gone over. I think Mancini was offside there. He may have even handled the ball. But it was a chance to make it 2. We couldn't quite put it away. But it was that man Almada again who's causing trouble for Bayer Leverkusen. Almost 40 minutes gone. We've played okay, not potentially dominated the possession, but we've used the ball well when we've had it. And as we approach the half-time whistle, we go into the break 1-0 up. A really solid first half from the boys. We just got to guard against complacency and go and put a couple more past Bayer Leverkusen for a really important first win of the season. Florenzi then with the flowing. Cristante, who obviously was the hero in the first half, loses out in the second to Macias, but a really good tackle in the middle there. Cristante is sent off. It looked like he'd won the ball. Cristante, the hero in the first half, becomes the villain in the second. And we're going to have to change our approach for the rest of this game. Almada's going to slot back in to centre midfield. We're going to go for a 4-2-2-1 formation. We're going to drop back to balanced. And we're going to hope that we can do a bit more and see out the game. We're going to drop Almada back to more of a box-to-box midfielder as well. Straight after the break as well, barely a minute played after half-time, and Cristante has gone and seen himself get sent off. The hero of the first half, he's really let himself down. He was looking like he was playing really well, but unfortunately he's gone and done that. But at the moment, I say that at the highlights beginning, we have looked like we're containing Leverkusen okay. And we've won the ball back in midfield. Almada again in a slightly unusual role for him. But he does find Mancini, who is on a yellow. But we've got Malejo on the left, who surges across the box. He had Esposito waiting in the middle. But instead, he shoots straight at Hradecky in the Bayer Leverkusen goal. Victor Malejo not having a great game. So we'll get our first sight of Victor Fischer of the series. He'll come in on that left-hand side. Esposito not having a great game either, but he can stay out there for a little longer. Lopez with the ball forward. Todibo heads well clear, but only as far as Volland. Soyuncu, the Leicester man, is on the ball. It's gone to Tar and Lopez, who are knocking it about between them. Thomas Delaney, obviously of Borussia Dortmund in real life. Lopez out again to Soyuncu, to Volland, and it's gone well over. A good chance for Bayer Leverkusen. We've not been able to contain them as much as I thought, but we've got a chance ourselves as we. Esposito to Tonali, who's dallying on the ball. He's got to get rid of it, and he's only given it as far as Delaney. Poor from Tonali. Macias with a chance to put a ball across, but a great challenge from Nicolo Zaniolo, and it's gone out for a goal kick in the end, I think. Really good defensive work from Zaniolo. We're going to go defensive. Tonali's going to drop back, as is Almada, but he will come off for Amadou Diawara. He will play more as an anchor man in this role. Esposito not having the best of games. He'll come off for Sheik as an advance forward, and we will go a bit more cautious as opposed to defensive, just to keep ourselves keeping the ball for the last 15 minutes or so. Florenzi can come supporting on that right hand side as well, just to keep him back and firmly in his place at right back. But can we see out a 1-0 victory? It'll be a really good grind from the boys, who have played a half of football down to 10 men thanks to Brian Cristante's sending off. We look like we've done well as we approach the 90th minute. Are we going to hold on, or is there going to be a late twist in the game? And merely for Bayer Leverkusen, Lopez, Macias on the left-hand side. Katabach now with the ball in. It's really well defended and Diawara just hoofs clear. Nowhere near Sheik at all, but Sayuncu on the ball to Tar. We're sitting deeper than we were, which is okay. Lopez. He's found Makras, who's found Katabach on the overlap. It's fallen into the middle. It's come to Lopez, who shoots just wide. Leverkusen with the chance to level late on. They haven't been able to do so, and time ticks by. Roma 1, Bayer Leverkusen 0, our first victory of the season. Brian Cristante with the goal, only to be sent off in the second half. A good start to our Champions League campaign. We're going to be passionate. They've done well to hold on throughout the second half. And coming next is the Seoul derby against Napoli, a game which I feel is already a must-win based on our poor start to the Serie A season. I will see you for that in a second. Alright then folks, it's time for the Seoul derby. In between this game and the Champions League game, we did beat Benevento 2-0, our first Serie A win of the season. Florenzi getting us off to a great start with a 12th minute goal. Almada late on with a penalty. We completely and utterly dominated the game, similar to that against Genoa earlier on in the season. They did have a sending off in the second half. It should have been more, but a win nonetheless. So we go into today's game against Napoli with a little bit of form behind us. Can we do it? Can we beat them and keep our good run going? This is the team we'll look to do it with. It's Paul Lopez in goal. A back four, Florenzi, Taribo, Mancini and Miranda. Tonali and Cristante pair up in midfield. Fischer, Almada and Zaniolo play in behind. Esposito up front. Cristante, despite his sending off in the Champions League game, I've kept the faith. Hopefully he won't have a repeat of that and we can see him play as well as he did in that first half of the game. We did play really well, as I said, against Benevento. It just wasn't quite to be. I think their goalkeeper was the man of the match, which probably does say a lot. I think we had 20 odd shots on target. Let's get revenge on Napoli. A lot of teams we've played early on this season were ones that we lost to last year. So hopefully we can beat them now. Obviously a really good game we had against them last year. The 4-3 comeback that we famously had. Can we have a repeat this year, but hopefully a bit more comfortably? And it could be a chance as Fischer sends Esposito on his way and he can only hit the side netting. A really good combination. Fischer cutting in from the left. Esposito making a great one forward, but it wasn't quite the goal that we were looking for in the first few minutes. It would have been a great start to the game if we could have got it. Those two really showing how they could link up, despite the fact they've not quite been able to perform at their best so far this year. Pretty even to start with by the looks of it. We haven't seen much of the game, but here is a free kick and a chance for Napoli to get the first goal of the game. Politano shoots, well saved by Paul Lopez, but it's only come out as far as Politano after a Florenzi clearance, but that is the highlight over. Almada has been playing well in the episodes or the games that you haven't seen, rather. He's not quite performing as well today, but he had a really good game against Benevento, pulling the strings there as he did against Bayer Leverkusen. But a fairly uneventful first half is coming to a close. It's Napoli 0, Roma 0, really equal. 6 and 7 shots, 4 on target each. Possession just slightly more in Napoli's favour. They obviously are the home team, but we want to be better than that in the second half. So let's go out and turn on the performance if we can. We're going to ask for a bit of creativity to start with. No one really having that good a game at all. A lot of 6.5s and 6.6s knocking around. So we just need to up the performance levels against a side which come the end of the season when all the cards are down should well be near the Champions League spaces along with ourselves. Zaniolo having a poor game. So the first look of Emre Moore on the series. He will come on and play as an inside forward on this right hand side. Cristante given the faith but not having a good game. So let's see if we can have an improved performance out of fan favourite Lorenzo Pellegrini. With just under half an hour to go, we could do with a goal and another win. And is it going to come here? Pellegrini towards the back post, but it's headed away, and a chance for Napoli to break. But Tonali tries to break it up, but it's only as far as Lorenzo Insigne, who surges forward, but he can't find the back of the net, only the side netting, and we get away with one from a chance which really should have been ours from a Pellegrini free kick. We could demand a bit more for the last 15 minutes. I really would like us to win this game so that we're not falling further behind our rivals. There's only 10 minutes left. We're going to make one final change, and it's going to be Fisher off for Malejo on this left-hand side. He plays as more as a winger, so he can do that out there. We're going to stay attacking. We have tried every game to go at the teams we've been playing, sometimes with success, sometimes, as the case is today, with a bit of an even kilter. But by the looks of it, as time ticks by, it could well be Napoli 0, Roma 0, barring any late drama. And it's another draw in Silly Hour. An uneventful game. We didn't quite turn up at the races. A lot of poor performances in there, and we're not quite ticking as I would like us to be. Hopefully that will come throughout the season, with a couple of new faces obviously being brought in. It's a disappointing result. We're going to get assertive and say we're not pleased with what we saw. We're lying around mid-table in Serie A, but we have played Napoli, AC Milan and Juventus in our first 5 games. So some easier games to come, and we really need to start picking up some results. Looking forward to next time then. We'll skip through and play quite a while. We'll be back for the big Champions League group game against Liverpool, and that will be followed by the Derby della Capitale against Lazio. A bumper episode next time. Make sure you subscribe to the channel and have the notifications turned on so you don't miss that one. If you have enjoyed today's video, please leave a like down below for me, and thank you all for coming along and watching.